The other angle is the paranormal. Most investigations involve evidence and no admissions, but this case is one full of admissions and no evidence. But if you had the chance to take full or partial credit for a great piece of creative work, which would you do? Now ask yourself why these people chose otherwise.
Robert Johnson is considered the king of the Delta blues. He's also considered the father of rock and roll. It is very significant that Johnson would be considered the father of rock and roll, as it is alleged that he had sold his soul to Satan in Clarksdale, Mississippi, in exchange for guitar-playing abilities and worldwide fame. It was after Johnson made his alleged pact with Satan that he became the king of the Delta blues. Blues master and Johnson's mentor, Son House, set up him before Johnson's transformation. He'd sit at our feet and play during the break, and such another racket you've never heard. Son House said he made the audiences mad with his racket. Son House went on to say of Johnson before he made his alleged pact with Satan that he was a talentless and even an irritating guitar player.
But he'd follow me and Willie around on Saturday night, Willie Brown. And every time we stopped to rest and sit there, little guitar over in the corner or something and go out to catch air, get the guitar and be trying to play it and be just noising the people, And the folks would come out and say, why don't some of y'all go in there and make that boy put get that thing down, he running us crazy. Finally, he left, he run off from his father and mother. And he went over in Arkansas someplace. Well, he was gone about 6 to 8 months.
It was during this period of 6 to 8 months that it is said that he made his pact with Satan on the crossroads of Highway 49 and 61 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Son House said that when Johnson returned after 6 to 8 months, everything changed as Johnson was transformed almost before their very eyes.
And he come back. When he come back, me and Willie Brown was playing out to him, and he walked in. He said, can I hit a look at you? I said, nah, don't come back with that, Robert. I said, the people don't want to hear that racket. He said, let them say what they want to say. I want you to see what I learned.
Son House said when he finished, all of our mouths were standing open. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Son House declared emphatically, quote, he sold his soul to the devil to play like that. He's not only declared to be the father of rock and roll, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame says that Robert Johnson stands at the crossroads of American music, much as a popular folk legend has it. He once stood at Mississippi Crossroads and sold his soul to the devil in exchange for guitar-playing powers. Incredibly, Robert Johnson went from a guitarist who couldn't play a lick in a matter of months to a guitarist who, like a medium, didn't even have to practice as he channeled music from the spirit world at will.
I never seen him have to practice anything like that. Never seen him sit down and learn a song. He already knew it.
Early this morning, ooh, he knocked upon my door, and I said, hello, Satan, I believe it's time to go.
Robert Johnson seems to have lived in great fear that Satan would come and finally collect his soul. This thought was communicated in songs like Hellhound on My Trail.
The hellhound on my trail.
Robert Johnson's love for Satan and hatred for God was so great that he was known to get drunk and curse and blaspheme God.
It seems Robert could outdrink anybody. He'd get drunk, start cursing God.
The hellhound that Johnson so feared would finally catch up with him at the early age of 27 to take his soul. Johnson seems to have gone insane just prior to his death, having fallen to the ground, barking and howling like a dog.
And they said he was crawling around, so they told me, he said, crawl around like a dog, so he was just howling,
Said he crawled on his hands and knees and barked and howled like a dog before he died.
His fame killed him.
Black Sabbath was named after a satanic being that appeared to bass player Geezer Butler after he had already painted his house black and adorned it with upside-down crosses and depictions of Satan. This satanic being that appeared at the foot of Butler's bed is considered the 5th mystical member of Black Sabbath, who gave them the material for their first 3 albums. Ozzy Osbourne has admitted that he thinks that he is a vehicle being used by Satan, declaring, I don't know if I'm a medium for some outside source. Whatever it is, frankly, I hope it's not what I think. Satan.
I was getting into, not practicing, but reading a lot of spiritualism and black magic and white magic. And somebody gave Ozzy this old 16th century book of black magic, and it was all written in, I think it was Latin. And he brought it round to my fact, because he knew that I was interested in books and magic and all that kind of thing. And I just got this really weird vibe off it. And I put it in this cupboard in the apartment that I was living in. And that night, I just like woke up suddenly, and there was just like this black shape at the bottom of my bed, and it just seemed, it just vanished into thin air as I was staring at it. And I just had the thought, it's got to have something to do with this book that Ozzy brought round for me, and I like leapt out of bed, rushed to the cupboard to throw this book out, and the book was gone. And the next day I told Ozzy about it, and about 3 days after that we came up with our first song, Black Sabbath, and Ozzy just like related my experience in the lyrics.
Big black shape with eyes of fire, telling people their desire. Satan sending his smiling.
Is that when we were playing our first songs together, and especially our first the first 3 albums, for instance, we would literally show up in a room, and it was almost as if the songs were already written. That stuff just comes from somewhere.
Ginger Baker, formerly of Clapton's group Cream, says of Cream, quote, "It happens to us quite often. It feels as though I'm not playing my instrument. Something else is playing it, and that same thing is playing all 3 of our instruments. That's what I mean when I say it's frightening sometimes. Maybe we'll all play the same phrase out of nowhere. It happens very often with us." Heavy metal's most popular group, Metallica, and a copy of Motorhead's Prince make it clear as just to whom they have given their souls. Kurt Cobain desecrated churches by scrawling graffiti like "God is gay" on the walls. Just before Cobain made it big, he admitted his aspirations in declaring, quote, "I will get stoned and worship Satan." Alice Cooper has stated that he received his name Alice from a spirit he contacted at a seance. Alice Cooper has admitted the influences that this spirit has wielded upon him during performances. He has stated that this spirit, quote, partly takes over his actions and singing on stage. AC/DC guitarist Angus Young has also admitted to being possessed. He points out that the spirit manifests while he's performing on stage. He says, quote, "By the time we're halfway through the first number, someone else is steering me. I'm just along for the ride. I become possessed when I get on stage." Joni Mitchell, who is considered the queen of folk rock, also speaks of a spirit entity which has assisted her musical success. Time magazine reported, quote, "She deeply believes in a male muse named Art, who lends her his key to what she airily calls the shine of creativity." Meatloaf is yet another of one of the many rock artists who has admitted, quote, "When I go on stage, I get possessed." From all of this documentation, one gets the idea that if all the demons that were possessing all these different rock stars were cast out on the same day, the entire rock and roll industry would come tumbling down to the ground. Notice here how Harrison deceptively switches from Hallelujah to Hare Krishna in an effort to turn Christians to Krishna. According to the Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu sacred book, Krishna identifies himself as, quote, "the Lord of Destruction, the Serpent of Eternity, the Prince of Demons." Eminem says of some of his fans, quote, "They're into hurting themselves. They're cult people, devil worshippers, who say I'm right next to Satan in their thoughts." Santana actually admitted that he is being used by a spirit that identified itself as Metatron. Metatron has been associated with the eye in the triangle in occult history.